In today's video, we're going to be discussing how routines are the key to success, and I'm going to give you some tips that you can incorporate into your current routine. And if you don't have one, we're going to customize a routine that is going to help you on your journey. So before we jump into today's tips, I want to briefly explain to you what a routine is. And a routine is essentially the timeline of events that go on throughout your day. This is basically your start and your finish throughout your day or throughout any particular task. Now, a system, on the other hand, is a series of components. And when you allow these components to work together, it would allow you to complete a task. So in order for you to have a successful routine, you have to have a successful system. So when I think about systems and routines, one of the examples that I always like to use is farming, because there's so many different processes that go along with, creating a farm or planting anything. And the key to having a successful harvest always lies in the routine and the systems that you have in place. So as I said, we're going to take farming for instance. Some basic steps would be to make sure that you have some really fertilized soil. You're going to dig a hole, plant your seed, cover up the seed, and continuously pour water onto your plant until you start to see or reap a harvest or see a plant start to form. The same way goes into you creating a system and a routine for other aspects of your life. You have to have a system in place that is going to help you get to your overall goal. And whatever that goal may be, creating that system and that daily routine is pivotal in order for you to reap the harvest that you're looking for. So now that we understand some key points in terms of what a routine is and what a system is, now let's jump into some tips that are going to help you create a system that will allow your routine to be successful. So the first tip that I have for you is to set clear goals and also prioritize certain tasks. So we're going to use that example that I talked about earlier, which was farming. One of the tasks was, of course, to plant your seed and then also to water the seed, right? Now, sometimes there are going to be tasks that you have to prioritize. Let's use the example of, a drought. If you know that you're in a drought season, the task that typically you would have to water your plants every other day, now you have to prioritize a task and you have to plant it every single day. One of the things about routines is that they are not always going to be the same each and every day. Sometimes you have to prioritize certain tasks in order for your routine to be effective. So in this example, the task is watering your plants more often. If you want to apply it to you, it may be you have to work out every single day and you have to work out early in the morning. You have to prioritize that task in order for your daily routine to be successful. In order for you to have a successful routine, you have to do tip number 2, and that is to designate specific time blocks. Throughout your day, you're going to have some tasks that you probably didn't plan for. So if you have a designated time slot for the things that you need to prioritize throughout your day, it will make sure that these things are getting done. By having these designated time blocks, it will allow you to not only remain flexible, but also have these slots so that you can prioritize your daily tasks and making sure that your routine, even though things may come up, your routine does not fall by the wayside. One of my tips is always to have one designated time slot early in the morning. Sometimes for me, I have to wake up a little bit earlier in order for me to have that, but this will always allow me to prioritize myself or prioritize whatever it is within my daily routine that has to be done. Always have those time slots blocked out. The same way we do it at work for lunch, do the same thing as relates to whatever it is you're trying to achieve in your success journey. Tip number 3 is to limit your distractions and also set boundaries. So one of the ways that I like to limit my distractions is I turn my phone on do not disturb. I've really started to utilize this setting on my phone more frequently. And I also do not have any notifications on for any of my social media apps. So I don't know if I have messages. I don't know if I have inboxes. I don't know if I have emails unless I physically grab my phone and turn it on. So I've learned to be able to limit those distractions in that way, because if I don't do that, I'll always be gravitating towards my phone because it's always constantly dinging. And I've also learned to set boundaries as well. I don't take any phone calls before 8 a.m. I don't answer any messages before 8 a.m. And also with my busy workday, I do not take any business calls after 6 p.m. I have to create that work-life balance now, and that was really hard for me to do in the beginning because I run my own business. But at this point, some things are not worth the mental health and the mental strain with taking these phone calls at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Some things can wait. So I've learned to eliminate a lot of distractions in those regards, as well as create those boundaries in order for me to maintain the routine and also make sure that the systems that I have in place are always working for my good. So tip number 5 is a tip that I have started to incorporate within recent months, and it is called the 2-minute rule. And what that means in terms of your systems and your routine is, if there is something that you can do that's in your daily routine that you can do in 2 minutes, do it immediately. I have to do this when I'm answering emails. I also have to do this when I'm responding to text messages, because if I don't do it when I see it, it's not going to get done. And also, again, if I say, oh, I can do it in a few minutes, I'm going to either forget, or it's going to coincide with something that I already have on my to-do list. And again, when I created my routine, I have systems in place to make sure that my routine is seamless. So I can't allow things that I could have done at 10 a.m. to try to do at 4 p.m. because I already have something designated for that time slot. So again, if you can do it in 2 minutes, try to do it immediately. Tip number 6 works hand in hand with tip number 5, and that is to batch similar tasks together. So for instance, if there's something that I can do in 2 minutes, 9 times out of 10, there are other little tasks that I can do throughout the day. And so I take all of those smaller tasks and I batch them together. Also, batching these small tasks together, it helps with the mental load, because I don't have to constantly go back from one task to the other and switching back and forth. It just allows me to batch everything together at one time, knowing that once it's done, and I can switch on to the next task on my list. So tip number 8 is to utilize your technology wisely. I talked about this a little bit earlier on when I talked about how I use my Do Not Disturb app on my phone, and it allows me to not get constant notifications on my phone. That is a really great use of technology. Also, I like to streamline a lot of my tasks. So for me, because I work on social media, there are a lot of platforms that I utilize, and so I have to post on these apps at different times for different reasons. So utilizing technology for me allows me to streamline a lot of those tasks. I am able to take one time slot throughout my day, schedule all of those tasks, and once it's scheduled, I don't have to worry about it. So again, all of those small tasks, I can bunch them together, and now it's all one task is done at one time, and I can move on. So imagine if you had every social media app available and you have to post to each one of those apps every single day. It's almost impossible to do that because you have other things that you have to do throughout the day, and you're constantly going and flowing, and you don't want to keep switching from app to app to app to app. And I found myself doing that quite often. So being able to utilize different technologies and different softwares to do all of those tasks at one time so that I can set it and forget it has been key in order for me to have a successful routine. This is what I talk about when I say systems. I have a system in place that allows me to streamline my workflow so that my routine is more efficient. And my final tip is to make sure that you have time within your routine to wind down. And your routine is only as good as your system. So you have to make sure that your system includes time for you to wind down, for you to reflect, and to make sure that your routine is effective moving forward. So I have created an end of the day routine that allows me to transition from work to relaxation. This includes me reviewing my day, looking at all of the things that I was able to get done, which is really great for your mental health, especially when you have things on your to-do list that you really want to check off. This time will be really, really pivotal for you so that you're able to self-reflect on everything that you've done throughout the day, and also planning your routine for the next day. Maybe there's something in your system that you can implement that's going to make your routine for the next day more efficient. Or maybe there's something that you want to take away from your current system that will make your day easier. This is your time to wind down. This is also my time of reading. I like to read something that has absolutely nothing to do with what I was doing throughout the day. This is how I pour back into myself, especially when I have been giving and giving all day in multiple areas of my life. Me pouring back into myself is key to making sure that I am operating at 100% efficiency and that I'm able to be my most productive moving forward. So those are all the tips that I have for you guys to ensure that your system and your routine is aligned to help you on your pathway to success. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, make sure you thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.